Over the past few years, there has been an alarming rise in the number of Indian children crossing the US border without any adult or any family member. Now, this troubling trend has gained a lot of attention because it shows a new and a dangerous way people are trying to enter the US illegally. But the question is, why are so many children being sent alone? When Donald Trump became president in 2017, we are talking about, he declared an emergency at the Mexico border and sent the military to enforce stricter border security. And it's happening again. This made it really hard for people to cross the border illegally. In the meantime, Canada, facing the impact of the new US policies, also increased security at its own borders, specifically to prevent illegal crossing from the US. But even with these tighter routes, the number of unaccompanied minors trying to cross into the US is still rising every single day. Typically, if we talk about Indians, then in recent years, many of these children attempting to cross US borders have been from India. According to the US Customs and Border Protection, from 2024 to February 2025, 77 Indian children were found alone at the US border, 53 at Mexico border and 22 at Canadian border. These children are typically aged between 12 to 17, but in some cases even younger children, as young as 6 years old, have been found. But why are these children being sent alone? It turns out that some parents in India are making very difficult choice to send their children on dangerous journey just in hope for a better future in America. Now, when you see in rural part of Gujarat, many families are choosing to send their kids to the US first before they make the journey themselves. Many families choose to send their children ahead of them because of a system that can grant them legal status. Once the child is caught at the border, they are often given asylum and allowed to stay in the US. Now, this status can help their parents gain legal entry into the US, allowing them to join their children. The idea is that once the child is settled in the US, the parents can claim asylum on the ground of being family member of the child who is already over there. But yes, this is not frictional. One example involves a couple from Mehsana, Gujarat, who moved to Atlanta, the United States of America back in 2019. They left their 2-year-old son behind in India as travel became really difficult during COVID-19 pandemic. In 2022, when a relative was traveling to the US illegally, they asked the relative to bring their 5-year-old son to America. The child was left alone at the US-Mexico border, but was later found by the US officials. The authorities used a note in the child's pocket to locate and reunite the boy with his parents in the US. But why such big risk? The main reason some parents send their children to the US alone is to secure a better life for them. They believe if their children can grow up in America, they will have access to better education and job opportunities. In some cases, parents feel that it is better to send their children illegally first and then follow later when the system can more easily grant them residency or asylum. Well, a man from Gujarat who sent his 2 children to America explained that while the children were traveling with the other family members, they were left at the border to be caught by the authorities. Once the authorities find the children, they often grant them refuge status, allowing them to stay in the country. And the parents believe that this will make it really easy for them to later enter the US illegally. But what they don't understand is sending children alone on such dangerous journey is not only heartbreaking, it is also incredibly risky. Many children are left at the border checkpoints with nothing but a note containing their parents' contact information. This method altogether is very dangerous and is calculated risk taken by families who hope that their children will be treated as a refugee. However, these children are sometimes caught in the middle of a human trafficking network. Smugglers often take advantage of the US immigration law by using children to help adults gain asylum. The children may travel with a group of adults only to be left alone at the border so that they can be caught by the US authorities and processed for their asylum. Afterwards, the children are often reunited with their parents who have already made it to the US illegally. If we talk about data, then the number of unaccompanied Indian children being apprehended at the US border has been increasing every single day. In 2023 alone, 730 children, that too of Indian origin, were caught, which is a huge rise as compared to 2020, with just 219 children were arrested. In 2024, the number dropped slightly to 517, but still the number remained really high. These children often enter the US illegally, either through Mexico border or even Canadian border, despite the harsh weather condition in the north. Between 2022 and 2025, a total of 1,656 unaccompanied Indian children were arrested trying to enter the US illegally. You know, the sad part is, once these children are caught, they often end up in the US custody and may eventually be allowed to stay in the US. They typically receive benefits like healthcare and education. Many of these children even receive a green card, allowing them to stay in the country permanently. After this, their relative, who might have already entered the US illegally, can start the process of applying for citizenship or green cards themselves. In the end, the trend of Indian children being sent alone to the US is growing, despite the dangers and risks that are involved. This strategy relies on exploiting loopholes in immigration law, but it also highlights the desperation of families looking for a better life in the US.